Well, welcome back to Boldline, where we talk about the people and partnerships shaping Central Florida's workforce. I'm Pam Nabors and the President and Chief Executive Officer of CareerSource Central Florida. Today, I am joined by a very special guest and friend. CareerSource Central Florida and Seminole State College have had a long-term partnership, and it all really starts with our friend, Dr. Georgia Lorenz. So welcome, Georgia, to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Pam. Happy to be here.
Oh, thank you, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Let me tell you a little bit about Dr. Georgia Lorenz. Has become the third president of Seminole State College. She took that position in August of 2018. She comes with more than 20 years experience in higher education. I know she was in the higher education system in California before she came here. She also currently serves as the chair of the Florida College System Council of Presidents, very prestigious role. And under her leadership, very importantly, Seminole State College was named as one of the top 10 community and state colleges in the nation by the Aspen Institute in 2025. She is also a Florida Trend 500 honoree, recognizing her as one of Florida's most influential education executives. And she has been recognized locally by many different organizations, but Orlando Magazine's 2025 Women of the Year and one of the 50 most powerful people in education. And a fun fact, she is also, or was, and maybe still is, a synchronized swimmer since she pursued that sport from age 7 through college, it says here on my bio. So are you still synchronized swimming, Georgia?
Now I'm just swimming laps. I'm part of a sort of self-organized master swim group that works out 3 times a week. So,
Oh, that sounds like fun. And
yeah.
we are talking at the beginning of 2026. So I know that you also like to travel. You and I have traveled a couple times
Mhm.
together with business, but did you get to go anywhere fun in over the holidays?
Well, the problem is I'm really bad at planning ahead. So all of a sudden the holidays were here and I didn't
Mhm.
really have plans, but I did go down to Fort Myers Beach for the New Year's time period. So that was,
Ah, oh, so
yeah,
beautiful
it
down there.
is.
Yes,
It
that's a
really is.
lovely place to spend New Year's. And so here we are in 2026, already eventful at the beginning of the month, definitely. And I'm sure as we get rolling into the next half of our program year, because both of our years start in the middle of the calendar year in
Yeah.
July, we know that there's lots ahead. But the state colleges in Florida, which you lead, a wonderful state college, Seminole State, and great in partnership with us at CareerSource Central Florida, are so influential on really the economic impact in our state, in our region. And just recently, a report that the Florida College or the Chamber of Commerce actually issued said that state colleges generate $56.7 billion in economic impact and support nearly 1 in every 24 jobs in our state. That's really incredible. From your perspective, being a college president at Seminole State, what does that number translate into in our economy?
Well, thank you for highlighting the report. The report was done by Lightcast, and we commissioned it through our membership organization, the Association of Florida Colleges. And we did the statewide report, which you were referencing, and we also
Mhm.
did individual reports for each of the 28 colleges.
Wonderful.
So for Seminole State, our report showed that we have a $1.1 billion impact in our region,
Wow.
and we support the equivalent of almost 12,000 jobs right here in Central Florida. And I think it's just really important to recognize not just our output in terms of graduates, but our impact in terms of the economy writ large.
Mhm.
And the Florida State Colleges really are economic engines in each of the regions that we serve. And we strive to be very intentional, very future focused, and align the degrees and credentials that we offer with what employers need and what our state needs in terms of continuing to fuel the growth. It's just been so incredible in Florida.
Yes, absolutely. And you and I have been in other states and have worked with other, often called community college systems. Our
Mhm.
state has been very forward thinking and creating a state college structure where you have everything a community college has that outreaches to its local communities, industries, and people, but then also provides that enhanced post-secondary education where individuals at a very low cost also in
Yes.
Florida are able to take advantage and actually progress through an associate's and a bachelor's
Mhm.
program at a much more accessible opportunity.
Absolutely. For years and years, Florida has ranked amongst the most affordable. We
Mhm.
haven't raised our tuition in 13 years. So
Wow.
students who started as like kindergartners, the tuition has remained flat for them to now graduate from high school and come straight into one of our state colleges.
Wow, I didn't think of it like that. That
Yeah,
that is incredible. It really is. I'm very proud that both of my children, grown adults now, are actually graduates of the Florida Community State College system,
excellent.
and went on, yes, from there. So, and then also, I think incredibly for me at CareerSource Central Florida Workforce Development Board, you at Seminole State College and our other state colleges are incredible partners in the workforce development system, really ensuring that businesses get the talent that they need through the training that they need. But just recently, we actually celebrated opening our first community hub inside of Seminole State College there in Sanford. Let's talk a little bit about the importance of that and what that does for your student population as well as our residents.
Well, for a while now in Florida, we've talked about this concept of having no wrong door
Mhm.
in terms of helping people access better employability, better economic mobility and stability. And I think it's partnerships like ours that actually make that happen. Integrating our services, reducing barriers for people, whether that be financial barriers or just information about what's available. And the fact that you're situated right on our campus really helps to develop that seamless pathway
Mhm.
between education and employability. And so you pull in community members, we pull in students, and all of those folks can really benefit from our partnership. And of course, employers benefit as well
Yes.
because then we together are producing the talent that they need to succeed.
Yes, absolutely. So, that is really accessing also those high growth industries that Seminole State is involved with in training, like construction, like
Mhm.
automotive technology, like healthcare or
Yep.
health information technology. And
Mhm.
those are all areas where CareerSource Central Florida looks to actually attract candidates into those programs that then become those competitive candidates for the employers in our region.
Absolutely. Our health information technology students recently had a 100% passing rate on their licensing exams.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah. So
excellent.
they're doing
Excellent. And
very well.
yes, and I know that program is also a component in a partnership that we have around an actual apprenticeship
Hmm.
model, kind of a non-traditional apprenticeship model that we had started with a very large insurance company here in
Hmm.
Central Florida to provide a pathway for students who normally in the past would have had to have a bachelor's degree to
Hmm.
actually access very good paying jobs. Those good paying jobs are really what this is all about, right? Partnerships
Yes.
like ours and the state college system and its economic impact. Talk a little bit about some of the workforce focused education that Seminole State College is really doubling down on and the difference that it makes in the lives of the students as well as
Mhm.
in the productivity of the businesses.
Yeah. There are several areas in which Central Florida as a whole has really prioritized in terms of trying to target.
Mhm.
Technology is one of those areas, through the leadership of the Orlando Economic Partnership and their sort of convening power. Technology has been set as a North Star. And in the last 5 years, technology employment in our region has grown 21%.
Mhm.
And in 2024, we experienced the second highest rate of growth in the tech industry in terms of employment. So at Seminole State, we've certainly focused on that. We have certificates and degrees, even a bachelor's degree in information technology with particular focus areas like cybersecurity.
Mhm.
ThreatLocker is a relatively new entrant to our region, but they are growing by leaps and bounds. So we've been talking to them about how we can quickly try to meet some of their workforce needs. The Space Coast and aerospace and defense is another area.
Mhm.
And people don't people often think, oh, they need rocket scientists. They need all sorts of employees, from welders to engineers, just a whole wide array that
Yes,
we can help to supply.
yes.
And advanced manufacturing is another real area of growth. So we have a legislative request in this year for a one-time appropriation to really strengthen the ways in which we have advanced manufacturing integrated across several of our programs so that students or graduates are ready to excel in those areas immediately. They're
Mhm.
not behind. So those are some of the areas that we've been focused on. Another sort of up and coming area that I know you're aware of is autonomous vehicle technicians. So we're
Yes.
partnering with BEEP and the City of Altamont Springs and Florida State College at Jacksonville to develop a technician program because they're deploying all of these vehicles all over the country and
Mhm.
they don't have a sufficient number of technicians to fix them. And of course, things go wrong. So we're really excited to be part of all of that growth and really partner with employers to ensure, again, that our graduates are ready to go day one.
Yes, I'm excited about the autonomous vehicles and that partnership because that's an area that CareerSource, the Workforce Development Board, can immediately invest our training resources in, and also,
Mhm.
really appeal also to individuals and that are in the economy that might not even have thought of that
Yeah.
as a job. I do have to confess, I have never ridden in an
Oh,
autonomous
really?
vehicle. Have you?
Yes, you have to go over to
Really?
Altamont Mall and take one of their crane rides.
Okay.
And yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's
I really I need to do that now that you mentioned the autonomous vehicle. The other thing I think is cool for us is because we're in this space and workforce development and education, we know about the incredible growth and opportunities and diversity of industries here
mhm,
in Central Florida. You mentioned like Seminole State College is situated in Stanford. It serves all of Seminole County, but literally right next door is Volusia and Brevard County. And
yeah,
Brevard County is the home to the Space Coast. And every day we see one, sometimes two or more rocket launches.
uh-huh,
It's amazing what's happening in aerospace, as well as just to the south of Orange County, just to the south of all of the airport and attractions, is, as you mentioned, the growing manufacturing and semiconductor
yeah,
manufacturing industry. And so much of the technology that Seminole State College is training in is interrelated. Technology is not just a standalone career on its own. It's actually
right,
integrated in to so many other industries. And what's really cool on this Boldline podcast is I think we get to really showcase what is the other half, or really two-thirds of our economy in the Central Florida region. We're
yes,
amazing in hospitality and tourism, but we're also growing and amazing in so many other high tech and high growth and high wage industries. Our partnership is, really, really special. I think, you know, I know that as we look forward for our workforce partnership with Seminole State College, we also want to look to the future. And you mentioned the autonomous vehicle. Where else do you think we need to kind of be thinking about workforce development and preparing our residents, preparing our businesses, and what kinds of
mhm.
challenges do you see ahead?
Well, all of the sectors that I mentioned, I think will continue to grow by leaps and bounds.
Mhm.
And I really have to applaud Valencia College for their work in launching the first associate's degree in semiconductor
Yeah.
manufacturing and all of the work that they're doing there. Palm Beach State is starting to do work in quantum computing.
Wow.
So, because the state college system is so tightly integrated, the great 28 state colleges, the presidents meet monthly. And so we also are able to learn from each other. And like we're partnering with Florida State College of Jacksonville on the autonomous vehicles. That tight integration really helps us to ensure that we're all keeping up with those opportunities. And everyone is very generous with their curriculum and their partnerships. So the whole state benefits as a result. Um, Other areas here, I think that fintech is going to continue
Yes.
to develop. You see companies like Stacks and now Worth and other, smaller companies that are really
Mhm.
developing in that space. And Lake Mary is a corporate headquarters type geography, and we continue to attract corporate headquarters. So some of the sort of tried and true areas of business, I think, will continue to be really important. And we can't only, chase the shiny objects. We also
Yes.
have to attend to our foundational regional strengths as well.
Yes, yes. How about challenges? I think in the workforce system, there's been a lot of change at the federal level. A lot of resources in the workforce development boards and the workforce development board programming flow down through the Department of Labor. There's changes. The Department of Labor is taking a more front and center role with some of the Department of Education, particularly post-secondary programs. Dollars and cents, right? We're seeing one of the sort of, I don't know if you call it a downside or not, but because Central Florida continues to grow in creating jobs, we still lead the state, probably still the country. We also then see diminished allocations of federal resources based on our very low, continuously low unemployment rate. So I think for us, we see some challenges ahead in continuing funding for innovations in programming, like we're talking about. One of the reasons I'm so grateful to you for creating the partnership in the community hub is that allows us, really a reduced physical plant size, that allows us to take our resources and funnel them towards training rather than brick and mortar. And as you said, it also is putting our services where people are already coming for that kind of support and education. But I am concerned as I look into the future about the public resources that support us. And, we're continuing to look at ways to create other streams of revenue and get other kind of corporate investment from many of these businesses who are benefiting from the workforce development in the education system.
Yeah, I would say my greatest concern is having the resources that it takes to continue to innovate and develop and produce the volume of individuals that are needed in our region. And, it's sort of a good news, bad news situation right now. Under Governor DeSantis's leadership and the legislature and the Department of Education, there's been a lot of investment through workforce capitalization, and open door and some other mechanisms. We've really gotten a lot of what you might consider like startup funds to launch programs. What we really need is operational dollars to sustain that. And we had great news in the governor's budget recommendations a few weeks ago. He's recommending $90 million in new operating funds for the Florida State College system, which is wonderful. We really need that to be sustained and reliable for us to sort of deliver on the commitments that we really want to make. From a federal level, I think that the community and state colleges are potentially in a really good position because there is such an emphasis on workforce development and not only on the bachelor's degree and higher and research. Of course, I understand that I'm sort of torn about all of this because I think research investments are really important, like let's cure cancer. But there might be some advantages in this moment in time to being at the community and state colleges with the focus on workforce. And the Department of Labor being better integrated into the Department of Education could potentially have a positive impact. I'm sort of in wait and see mode.
Yes, yes. I'm encouraged about that too, because I think one of the things we've always known is when students either in a certificate program or a degree program have an opportunity to actually work as a part of their training, their learning, they're actually in the workplace and understanding that industry more intimately, that they actually become more employable. And businesses tend to say that those are the students that they choose first, those interns or those students that have some kind of work-based learning opportunity. And to your point, I think that this alignment between the Department of Labor and education at the federal level, will bring that into focus. But, I'm resources are always a challenge. I do think the other kind of challenge we both have is that as we sit here and and you and I have known each other since you came here in 2018, is that we know about these incredible resources that both CareerSource Central Florida has and that Seminole State College has, but so many people in our community and businesses in our community do not, and so I think one of our challenges ahead is really to continue to raise up the message around the incredible resources to get individuals the training they need to get competitive in our space, but then also for businesses to know what incredible resources that both CareerSource, Central Florida, and Seminole State College have. So as we wind down, probably the most important thing to know is like, how can businesses or potential students reach out to Seminole State College and find out more about your programming?
Well, of course, you can always go to our website, seminolestate.edu, and find out about different opportunities. We often have open houses for our workforce programs. You can come and learn about automotive or law enforcement or nursing or whatever. So follow us on social media. And yeah, we've got multiple ways to get to the information that you might need about Seminole State. To your point about people sort of not knowing what's available, sometimes that can feel frustrating because you feel like you must be screaming into the void, all of this is available.
Yes.
I think that we need to get better at just-in-time
Mhm.
information for individuals, like businesses and schools and our partners, should be aware. But some of it is really developing that just-in-time information that people can get right when they need it. So
Yes, yes. I want to work on that with you most definitely, because I think people are overwhelmed with
yeah,
information these days, through the internet and social media and so
yeah,
on, but they need to have the right information when they need it most. Students that are transitioning, from high school, and also, just a plug to you for being a part of our summer youth employment program and also working with us on our growing year-round high school youth programming. We're really excited about incredible new initiatives in 2026 and beyond. And you can also find us through Seminole State's website, as well as find resources for Seminole State through CareerSource Central Florida's website. So, Georgia, I am just very grateful, and thank you so much for sharing your perspective, for your leadership in our community, and Seminole State College for your friendship as well. And I'm really excited about the future as we look into 2026 and beyond. And to our listeners, I want to thank you all for tuning in. If you want to learn more about how education and workforce development connect right here in Central Florida, be sure to follow Boldline and join the conversation. We'll see you next time. Thank you.
thank you.